Hello everyone and welcome back to Through the Dragon Glass. I'm going to start doing a new format now. Instead of just my own content, I'm going to start to put clips in it again. I had an issue with putting too many clips in the past and I kind of stopped, and then there's all this copyright issues and things like that, so I ended up just quitting on those videos. But I'm going to come back now because I've been told by a few people that they want more clips from movies and TV shows and things like that. We are on part 3 of the Satanic Illuminati Bloodlines. It is Who is Walt Disney? This is all about Walt Disney, and then we're going to talk about his brother and things like that, but this is about him personally, pretty much. Alright guys, let's get started. Walt Disney was 6 feet tall with black hair and a black mustache. The cartoonist used Walt's face to draw Mickey Mouse. When Walt was in the army, he started smoking, and while at work, he drank scotch and smoked 70 cigarettes a day. He had a vacation home in California called Smoky Tree Ranch, which he had written on his necklace that he always wore. Walt Disney died. His estate was worth $35 million. He also enjoyed playing golf with Bob Hope and Ed Sullivan. His home was located in Holmby Hills, which is between Bel Air, an occult word for Satan, and Beverly Hills. Walt would go weeks on end without visiting his home, but would sleep in his office because he had insomnia and would drink heavily and take tranquilizers at work. This might explain why Walt's behavior could be bizarre at times. Walt would travel to England to spend time with the royal family and would travel to France and Italy too. In 1966, Walt died, but prior to his death, he invested in cryogenesis, and some people believe he is frozen right now, but some claim he was cremated.
Welcome back, Mr. Disney.
Are the Jews gone yet?
No.
Put me back in.
Walt was inspired to create Disney when he was unemployed and saw a mouse in the gutter. When he created Mickey Mouse, he made sure Mickey looked very similar to him and often was the voice of Mickey Mouse himself. His mother, who found out later was not his real mother, ridiculed him and told him she didn't like Mickey Mouse or his voice. When he told his mother, who unknowingly was not his real mother, she told him he had a terrible voice. After his conversation with his mother, he decided to stop making Mickey Mouse cartoons. This is one of the reasons Mickey Mouse does not speak in The Sorcerer's Apprentice. For many years as a child, Walt lived on a farm where he raised animals. Walt's father was a gambler, and he passed it on to Walt. Walt never graduated from high school, but had a love for the arts. Walt dabbed into painting, but never sold one. During drinking and gambling time at the army, he also ran a scam during the war where he would collect German artifacts and alter them to make them seem more expensive. It has been reported that Walt was beaten as a child and had a love for magic as a kid. When Walt's time with the military was up, Walt decided he wanted to pursue a career in art. Walt was not a good artist, but got a job for advertising agency of Persman Rubin because they owed Walt's father, Roy, a favor. He was fired a month later due to his lack of ability to draw. Soon after Walt's firing, Roy and Walt decided they were going to make their own cartoons. He was fascinated with Charlie Chaplin and studied all of his films, his body movements, facial features, and gag methods. He studied every aspect of animation and cartooning. They were working in their uncle's garage until they produced the cartoon Steamboat Willie in 1928. On November 18, 1928, Steamboat Willie was played at a small theater and became an instant hit. The elite decided to promote Walt as a boy wonder and used Steamboat Willie to deflect from the crashing stock market. At the time, people were blaming the stock market crash on moral degradation, giving it the nickname Babylon or Sin City. People called the government to get involved and censor Hollywood content.
You're pushing 60, and you got a bum ticker. You ain't saving anyone.
Walt was portrayed as a Christian white knight, restoring Hollywood's wholesomeness. In 1930, Hollywood made special efforts to make movies more appropriate for children. Walt was praised, and his cartoons became a shining beacon of wholesomeness in the movie industry. Overnight, Hollywood went from making movies with sex and violence to wholesome cartoons. Walt had stopped drawing in 1927 and dedicated his time in promoting the cartoons. The Disney brothers hired several cartoonists to draw all the cartoons. Disney would show up and critique the artists to get them to draw to his taste. Ub LeWorks is credited for being the one who made Disney cartoons a reality. At times, Ub was treated poorly, but stayed with Walt throughout the years to make Disney the success it is today. Walt grew up fascinated with the occult. He loved cartoons, children, and the outdoors. It is common in the movie industry to become in debt to others and even blackmailed. Disney was no exception and was pressured into making porn films. Soon after Disney started to make porn, Walt became very sadistic and started watching the films himself. Disney instructed his animators to draw cartoons to be more human. Due to his sexual problems, Walt would have to ice his genitals hours at a time. Walt wanted to be called Uncle because Uncle is a common term used on mind control victims. Walt literally fell in love with a boy named Bobby Driscoll, who later became a meth addict and killed himself at 17. Those close to Walt knew he had an obsession with butts. He told butt jokes often to his staff, and they had to remove the jokes from the cartoon strips. Numerous cartoons show Mickey with his butt shaking. After World War II, Walt testified in court about communism's influence in Hollywood. Walt's father was a Socialist Party member who advocated for a new world order. One of Walt's first drawings was inspired by socialist political cartoons from magazines that his father owned. In 1940, Disney became unionized and the employees went on strike, pushing Walt towards communism. Disney's employees attacked Walt with verbal disdain, and Walt was angered by the humiliation. Though the U.S. had rejected communism, he ran his business like a dictator socialist run by the NWO. The only black American to work at Disney when Walt was alive was a simple shoe shiner. Walt had ties with many National Socialist leaders known as Nazis. On many occasions, Walt would invite Gunther Lessing, a known Nazi, to Disney. Disney put secret signals into his cartoon, but he was not Illuminati. Walt believed unions were targeting him because he treated his employees terribly. In order to protect himself from the unions, he got help from the FBI and the mob. The majority of his employees did not receive any credit for their work. Walt wanted to hold up the illusion that he was drawing everything by himself. In reality, Walt was a talented high school dropout. Walt directed his first and last movie in 1935 called The Golden Touch. The film was so bad it had to be pulled from distribution. Though Walt was talentless, he was the driving spirit behind Disney. Walt pushed his employees to give all they could. He took a group of artists and molded them into a powerful force. Walt knew what he wanted and got people around him to create it for him. There is no doubt that Disney was an illegitimate child. This would prove to be the bane of Walt's existence due to all the blackmail he received, threatening to expose the truth of his parents. He was also being blackmailed due to his gambling debts.
You mean the mob only did me a favor to get something in return?
It is hard to be 100% sure of who Walt Disney's parents were without a DNA test. Isabel Zamora Asensio moved to California from Spain. Walt's dad, Elias, considered himself a ladies' man and fell in love with Isabel. He had failed at discovering gold in California, so he moved to Chicago. Isabel and Elias had a baby, but Elias convinced his wife to take him in as their own. Elias and Isabel would end up having another child who they named Walter. The two brothers never got along with other family members and spent most of their time with each other. The minister of Elias' church found out about the bastard son, so Elias fled the state. After moving to Missouri, Isabel was hired by Disney as a maid so she could raise her 2 sons.
This is a very shocking family circus.
Es el tiempo para muchos hornos. Muchos hornos. Muchos hornos.
Walt soon discovered he didn't have a birth certificate and began to distrust his father. Elias' wife died in a fire, but Elias was pulled out the fire by Isabel. Walt confronts his father about Isabel, and his father kills himself. Shortly after, his real mom, Isabel, moves in with him as his maid. Walt was a hard-working, self-motivating person with lots of energy. Walt was more of a giver than a receiver. When he first started drawing cartoons, he sold his cartoons at less than profit levels. He was very defensive of his cartoons and cared more about the quality than the price. He could communicate his ideas effectively, moving from one idea to the other. He enjoyed competition, was impulsive even to his own detriment. He gambled his life savings and was bored by long projects. He never did any chores and could be a complete slob at times. Though Walt had a playful side, he was difficult to get along with. He had an aggressive, intolerant side that overshadowed his playful side. He refused to call his cartoonists artists because he didn't want anyone to go off script and make something he felt was artistic. Walt was defiant to authority and would make the police in his cartoon strips look absurd. He felt like rules didn't apply to him, which explains why Walt had no issue breaking laws. He wanted to be the ruler of a kingdom, which he accomplished. He lacked intimacy and had the determination of an executive. Walt seldomly expressed his feelings, but he stuck with it when times got tough. After World War II, Walt almost went to France to be a medic. Walt was loyal to those who were loyal to him, but would only take criticism from his brother. Overall, Disney preferred animals over humans. Alright everyone, thanks for listening. Before you go, hit that thumbs up, subscribe button, leave a comment, and tell a friend about me. Thanks guys.